All right, it's a good one to know that you're still there, and the program is still This Morning on ITV on independent television. Yes, from February 14th, 2022, ASUU, talking about the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, have been on strike as a result of academic, issues that have to do with four main issues. First and foremost, the issue that surrounds unpaid allowances, university revitalization funding, as well as the operationalization of university transparency and accountability system known as UTAS. Those are the main issues that these lecturers have gone on strike. Well, we understand that sometime in March that government had to meet the university lecturers and deliberated with them. And as a matter of fact, we understand that deliberation did not yield anything fruitful. As we speak now, we understand that ASUU members have decided to extend the strike by another 12 weeks after doing a series of about 3 weeks now. So this morning, we are so privileged to have Dr. Ray Chikogu, who is the ASUU chairman, Uniben chapter, and also Dr. Anthony. Yes, Dr. Anthony, I will know is also a member of ASUU Uniben chapter. Gentlemen, you're welcome to this program.
Thank you.
All right, and I have my co-uncle Daisy, Leo Atsikidi. Daisy, nice to have you here too.
Of course, it's good to have you back after such a long time.
All right. Now, Dr. Ray Chikogu, let me come to you. Let's understand the basis of this whole extension. Because the last time I had you on this program, you told me that it was actually a warning strike, and that was when the strike was just about 3 months. As we speak now, it's older than 3 months. So what is responsible? Let's understand what is going on as it stands now.
Thanks. Maybe let me just correct something first of all to say that it was never a warning strike.
But that was what you told me.
No,
that was what you told me.
No, listen. Because you were telling me that the former chairperson of ASUU at the branch had mentioned that it was a warning strike, and I had corrected on air here.
Yeah, but that was what we read. That was what we read.
A roll-over strike.
Okay, but we read on national dailies.
All right. Yes, it's a misrepresentation of the decision that the union took at the time, and which we have also extended.
Okay,
it's been a roll-over strike. First, in February, we declared a 4-week rollover strike. And then in March, on the 14th of March, that was extended by 8 weeks. And I was here, as you said, when that other 8-week rollover strike was declared. And we discussed all of these issues. What I will tell you now is that nothing has changed since that time. Nothing practically has changed. The situations remain essentially the same.
Yeah, when you say nothing has changed, is it that government is not forthcoming, or that ASUU is not yielding to some of the responses that government is making?
No, then maybe the question I need to ask are what are those responses that government has made? If there are responses that have been made, I think it will be apparent to everybody, and the nation, the country, everyone will see what efforts they have made. Let me state the facts simply. When the initial 4-week rollover strike was declared, at the tail end of that strike, government came up and said they were going to reconstitute the government renegotiation team because a number of persons on the team had outlived their tenure on that team, and so they needed to reconstitute. They told us then that they would need 6 weeks to sort out everything that was involved in the strike. That was at the tail end of the initial 4-week rollover strike. And we said, all right, if you need 6 weeks to deal comprehensively with all the issues that are involved, no problems. We'll give you 8 weeks. It was on that basis, it was on the basis of that 8-week rollover strike was then declared. Give them 6 weeks to do what they need to do, and give them an extra 2 weeks in case there are other unforeseen circumstances that may have come up to maybe limit the speed at which they intend to run. And for that 8 weeks, the renegotiation team was reconstituted, and we were waiting to be invited to interact with that team and with the federal government. And towards the tail end again of that 8 weeks, that renegotiation team invited our union to say that they had been interacting with other agencies of government. They have been interacting with, for example, the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Education, the Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, and that when they had finished all of that, they will come to us. And then we then asked, so what have you come with? And they said, well, from their interactions with these other agencies, what they gather is that ASUU has been very abrasive in terms of the discussions and interactions. We said, okay, even if we accept that, what have you come with? There is a document that is awaiting attention of the government. The document has been handed over to you. You have read out the issues that are involved. They are all contained in that document. That is the draft of the renegotiated document that was concluded in May of last year.
Okay. Just
awaiting the signature and implementation of the federal government. So what is the position of the federal government on that document, on the issues?
And they couldn't give anything tangible?
No, they didn't say anything.
Okay.
They have not looked at that document. They are not saying anything about that document. They are not saying anything about what government is offering.
Okay, I have something to say, because when the airports authority was saying they were going on strike, it seemed like the government ran and everybody started fixing things. So if you've been on strike for a while now, it's because you want something in return. If you're not getting the result, don't you think this elongated strike is not having the desired effect on government? So maybe y'all should re-strategize while still continue the strike. Will it yield anything if it hasn't yielded all this while?
It may not have yielded now, but if you go across all the university campuses in this country, if you find all the projects you will locate there, all of them have come by reason of strikes. Nothing has come that has come without a strike. And so we know that the antics will go on as usual when strikes are declared. The delay will go on as usual. The stoppage of salary, as they have already done since February, we have not been paid salaries. To they try to use the instrument of hunger and starvation. But you can't. That cannot succeed with academics. We believe in the cause that we are fighting. We know the implication of the cause that we are fighting, and we are determined to fight it to the end. Okay. So it may not have yielded the results it will yield now, but it will certainly yield the results. Okay,
Dr. Anthony, I have a question to ask. You're a member of ASUU. Yes. Do you really think the government has the money to pay all of these requests that you're saying? And if government comes up with an idea that we cannot afford to pay everybody all at once, let us pay in batches. Will the association accept that?
Well, I think that the issue with all these matters is not about funding or government having funds. What I have seen so far in my few years of working in the university system is that the government does not place education on the front burner. It is about priority, not funds. And if you look at the issues, some of them are actually administrative, not necessarily have to do with bringing in money. However, there are issues that have come up. You just mentioned the issue of aviation and all that they wanted to go on strike or maybe stop the flights. And you saw every, sector of the government jittering, trying to make sure that it does not happen. You understand? Yes. So if we have been on strike for this long, and we have had strikes that have actually been longer than this, and the government is, like my chairman has said, which is actually the truth, although they try to distort information in the public space, that nothing has been done up till now. The only thing that has changed, let me put on record, as he has said, emphasize that we are now made to stay at home without anything to cater for our families. Okay. So it is not about funding, it's about priority. If the government places priority on education, the money will come out. The money has always come out for other issues. You saw the other day when the government brought out a supplementary budget for subsidy for fuel, up to the tune of 4.4 trillion naira. And since for the past how many decades that this agreement was signed, that needs assessment came up with the issue of injecting into the university system just 1.3 trillion within the space of 6 years. and then the government is able to bring up or mop up 4.4 trillion naira to subsidize fuel. Where did the money come from? Okay, we heard about, sorry sir, we heard about the issue of adulterated fuel or what, I don't know the term they gave it the other day, which is still not very clear to the general populace. And we were told that up to not less than 200 billion was being appropriated for the cleanup or whatever they call that. How did that money just come up with it? So it's about priority, not about funding. Okay.
Anyway, the point is, one thing that seems to be very clear is this seeming vehemence, you know, that it's outplaying now in this whole saga. Because parents are asking what eventually becomes of this vehemence at the end of the day. That's one question. And, you know, when ASUU member talks, somehow one is almost tempted to one of the reasons that government is not forthcoming. Now, it's on record that last year, the federal government, you know, made a commitment of paying, they call it academic allowances and revitalization funding. That was last year, it's on record. Now, looking at this, is ASUU considering trying to concede its position, knowing that government did something last year? And of course, government is still trying to put things together, trying to source for fund to fund some of the issues that you are agitating for, Dr. Ray.
It's very laughable to say government had paid some allowances last year and also released some money for revitalization. You just mentioned, in 2012, government by itself set up a team to go around the universities in this country. ASUU was not involved. Government by itself saw the state of decay and dilapidation in the universities in terms of hostel accommodation, in terms of classrooms, in terms of laboratories, in terms of all the necessary facilities you need in a university. And government on its own said it was deplorable. Where you find in labs, people were using stoves. You won't find Bunsen burners. You will go to engineering departments, you won't find anything related to engineering. Much of what is happening there is theoretical. Government by itself determined that they were going to inject 1.6 trillion naira into the university system over a period of 6 years. I'm talking of in 2012, 2013. The previous administration did well to initially release 200 billion. The idea was that 1.6 trillion over a period of 6 years will mean 220 billion every year. So the previous administration released 200 billion. This administration has released only 20 billion.
Yeah, but Dr. Ray, let's look at some efforts that this administration is also making.
When you mention effort, you relate that effort to what is required.
Yeah, that's
what is 20 billion.
Yeah.
For a government that says they will release 220 billion.
Yeah, but
what fraction of 220 billion is 20 billion?
Dr. Ray, what about other efforts? Now, if you go to tertiary institutions in the country today, you have the TED Fund, you know, the TED Fund programs. Then you also have the need assessment programs. Now, all these are efforts that the federal government is making.
TED Fund?
Yeah, they are TED Fund programs. If you go to Uniben, you have structures. We're talking about funding universities.
Let me give you information.
Yeah.
The TED Fund money is not coming from the government. Needs assessment is not coming from the government.
Where is it coming from?
We said that before.
Where is it coming from?
When we called an earlier strike many years ago, government said they didn't have the resources to fund education.
Under President Babangida.
And we said, we can tell you how to generate the funds to adequately fund education. In many other countries, you find that they allocate about 20%.
So why are you not telling governments now?
I'm even interested in where the fund for TED Fund is coming.
TED Fund,
yes.
ASUU then suggested that there are many multinational companies operating in this country. They are exploiting the resources of this country for their own profit. Get 2% of the profit from these companies as education tax.
Yeah, but why are you not suggesting to government now on how to also generate?
Who says we have those? I give you an example. In 2017, when this renegotiation commenced, there was a workshop that the government organized, and then we were invited. we told them, we outlined about 4 different sources where they can generate the funds to fund education. One of them is stamp duty. As I speak to you now, from that period to now, there is over 15 trillion that stamp duty has generated. Unfortunately, that money is not in the federation account.
Okay. Interesting.
So as he has said, it's not a question of resources, it's not a question of funds, it's a question of the will and the desire to fund education.
Okay,
we believe that there are people in this country who are determined to destroy education for whatever reason they want to do it. You just mentioned, look at aviation. Who flies in the planes?
Practically so now everybody, because lands are not safe. Selfish, intention of this government. Very selfish, because they know that if the flights are stalled in any way, they will be affected. Look at what is happening on our roads. How many persons have come out to say, let's fix this road now? So they didn't even embark on a strike. They only threatened a strike. Okay. Now, students have been at home for 12 weeks. For 12 weeks, nobody is bothered. Nobody is batting an eyelid. Only recently, because the NANS people went to the National Assembly, the president of the Senate said they will now intervene. So is it that they are not aware that these children have been home for this period? But even if government should wade into this matter now and deal with it, how would you recover the lost time, the academic calendar? Is there already a plan for a structure in place to deal with this? Because the students that were last admitted had not even started. JAM just conducted an exam. WAEC is warming up to conduct theirs. It's not affecting them. So what would you do to manage it so that the students still graduate at the right time? As ASUU have they sat down to think about what they would do to manage this?
Yes. Again, what you will consider, these children that we're talking about, whose children are they? As I speak to you, I have a son in the University of Benin. He's at home with me right now. So if you are considering what the children are suffering, these children are our own children. They are not the children of those who occupy positions of authority in government. Their own children are not here. These children are our children. They are children of workers, the masses of this country. But we are saying, if you are giving education, if you are providing education, you provide education that will make people globally competitive. What quality of education are you providing? So we are saying, and the people are talking every day about half-baked graduates. Is that what we want to continue to do? Did you not read recently that the UK has delisted Nigerian graduates from those who can be granted visas for education purposes? Because what quality of education are we providing? So we are saying all of these half measures should stop. If we are providing education, let us provide quality education.
Okay, now, Dr. Anthony, because of time now, you talked about that the issues are really not on funding, they're administrative and all that. Now, do we know that some of these universities are being managed by states? Edo State University Ekpoma is owned by the Edo State government. It's being managed by Edo State government. Yeah. And of course, you have members of ASUU who Edo State government employed, but they're also joining you in this strike now. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it appears that ASUU, lump up the whole problem on the federal government's head. Not accepting the fact that there are some schools that are owned by states. Why don't you try to also bring state government into it rather than always trying to drag the federal government, to the mud? Permit me if I may say so.
I think the government is not, when we say the federal government, it entails all forms, all levels of government actually, because it's at the head. Then let me say that when we go on strikes like this and results come, the state universities also benefit, because the TED fund projects that you said you've seen scattered.
But who are you negotiating with now? Are you negotiating with respective state governments?
You were asking me how it affects the state universities. Yeah. So that's what I was saying, that the issues, the benefit, the fallout, when strikes come up like this, what we get as fallout from it, if the government responds, the state governments also benefit from such fallouts. Like the TED fund project. If you go to state universities, even polytechnics, colleges of education, you see such projects from. But when the chairman mentioned the issue of TED fund, I was thinking that you will be taken aback a little, because TEDFund being a product, a brainchild of ASUU, today ASUU is far removed from TEDFund. It has become so juicy that it's only politicians that you find there. If I want to apply for research funding now from TEDFund, I will have to pass my nose through the eye of a needle, and I may not eventually get it. It has become a government project that politicians have, overflooded.
Okay, I have a last question for the chairman before we close this segment. Okay, you could still add.
The question of the state universities. Yeah. And I will ask the same question of all other workers in this country. So when the NLC embarks on a strike, there are state chapters of the NLC. When the NLC negotiates for wage increase, for example, does it apply only to the federal workers? Does it not apply as well to the state workers? All of these persons you are mentioning in the state universities, are they on a different salary scale?
Yeah, but we do have states. After all, the federal government told us that minimum wage is 30,000. We have some states that are saying that
they want to pay
40,000.
Yes.
So there's a baseline. That's the point. That's the point. There's a baseline. There's a minimum standard below which you must not go.
Chairman,
and
sir.
that is what all the state universities are benefiting from.
All right, Chairman, sir, before we go, what next if after this 12 weeks and there's still no response?
As I have said, people, even including some persons in the press, have labeled ASUU strike mongers. And they say they embark on incessant strikes. And we say we don't want to wear that toga anymore. That this time, we will fight it to the end once and for all. They will fix education in this country. They may not be willing, but they will fix education in this country. And until it is done, we will not go back to work.
And there's going by what the Minister of Labor said, that ASUU's demands are unrealistic. So it seems that we may not get to the end.
Now that the students are joining in, Trade Union Congress has threatened to join in this morning.
Can I just make a comment? When they say the demands are unrealistic, the demands are not new. I said the process of renegotiating this agreement started in 2017 and was concluded in 2021. It took 4 years. Government was involved. They were the one who set up the negotiating team.
Anyway, that's all time we permit us to take because we have students, we have members of NANS
here, and the
so
ASUU
can
here.
Also feel their own pulse, and subsequently we should be able to call officers from the federal government so that we can also hear from them too.
Definitely, we'll do that.
All right, so you stay tuned on the program, you stay on there. Dr. Ray, thank you so much, and Dr. Angela, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. I wish we had more time.
Oh.